Rise and shine on this Saturday, although there's not much of a shine, right? And we're getting a little bit used to this cloud cover, probably too used to it. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. Yes, this is a special Saturday edition, filling in for Carson today for SnowTALK. Although the outlook for next week will feature a variety of different types of weather, I'll try to walk you through where we stand on anything on the wintry side coming up here in just a few moments. It is going to be our first little mention, I guess, of snow this season. Usually is not anything to get overly excited about. In fact, most of the time it's not. In this case, I think that's the case, that we don't have anything crazy coming our way. But it is an unusual setup that develops next week. So I do think it deserves our attention because there are some oddities to it that are going to make it a little interesting to track over the next few days. I'll explain, I promise. I won't be too vague. You guys can comment, as always, on whether it's Twitter, on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. We're all there if you guys want to comment there. Otherwise, I won't be able to see your questions here on the streaming. But let's get right into the snowboard. And that, well, is not too bad. I mean, rain and snow showers. Okay. That's doable, right? Now, I did take off the mention for Thanksgiving week for now until we get a little more data, and I'll explain why that one is a little bit more of a challenge than what it looked like weekend before. All right, let's start with the lovely gray sky over the city of Louisville once again today. These clouds, once they moved in with that rain event that we had on Tuesday, we've been stuck under cloud cover, and it's going to be a slow process. Very normal for that for November around here. Same in the spring. You get especially upper lows that can move in, but when they leave behind all that moisture, when you don't have a lot of hours of daylight and you have a lower sun angle, it just isn't enough, and many times to stir things up with enough heating to kind of shake the clouds out to get some sunshine back. So more often than not, wintertime around here is cloudy for that very reason. There's just not enough of a sun angle to mix things up there. But that's just that time of the year. I personally don't mind days like this. And if you're outside and you're trying to get stuff done, it's a little different story. But as far as running errands or just travel in general, I think it's a little easier on the eyes on driving around town than that bright sun in your face. But maybe I'm a little biased there. All right, let's get into the current setup, which, of course, the radar is quiet. There's no rain to track, but we do have, of course, the widespread clouds, as I mentioned. You can barely even see them on the different satellite tools that we have. Infrared is used for the overnight. Visible during the day. Visible doesn't have enough light yet. I'm on so early today that don't have data to show it. But in general, the clouds are trapped here in the Ohio River Valley. The trend is to erode them on the edges today. So southern Kentucky, near the parkways, maybe Green, Taylor, perhaps up to Breckenridge. You all should see the first erosion of the cloud steering going on this afternoon. And I don't know if the rest of us will be able to do that today. Much better opportunity to do it tomorrow. But of course, just as we do it tomorrow and we get rid of this low fog bank, a high fog bank begins to roll in aloft. So it's going to be really tough to get a blue sky the next few days. But that's all right. At least it is going to be a decent weekend, so I don't want to whine and complain too much. Let's get right into the tropics, because I mentioned a few days ago about Sarah. Big question mark was on Sarah on what will happen to it after it crosses Belize and Honduras and gets into the Yucatan Peninsula area or the Bay of Campeche. Will it then head toward Florida? Will it become a hurricane again? A lot of the data has backed off on this being able to do much, because it is going through one of the most mountainous areas of Central America, just ripping it apart. And by the time it emerges into the Gulf of Mexico, yes, the water is still quite warm. The problem is that our front that is alert day number 1 that arrives here on Tuesday, it is going to steer up the wind. The front itself will be angled something like this. It is going to be steering up the wind just enough as it tries to drift north. It has two choices here. Basically get absorbed by the front or get ricocheted quickly and pushed to the east. I'm thinking right now, because it is going to be relatively weak, it will likely get absorbed by the front. That changes a bit of the outlook on the severe side, because for a while there, it looked like we were going to get at least a strong hurricane, perhaps even a major one that could have developed in the Gulf, and that would have sent up a lot of moisture right along the front that is otherwise lacking in several things as it moves in on Tuesday. So now that we have a question mark on Sarah and what will happen in the next couple of days, we have a big question mark on any severe potential on Tuesday. And if anything, the timing now has gotten so fast on this front arriving that even goes even further against it on the severe weather side. So I'll explain that front, but it's normally that would be probably the most exciting thing to happen because it has been so quiet. But that is nothing compared to what we'll deal right after it. So this particular alert date set up for Tuesday is minor, is really minor. Okay, let me show you what it looks like on Futurecast. And you're looking at this like, oh, okay, we got a cold front. See those lines, a lot of isobars. Looks like it's going to be breezy outside and warm. But look at the clock. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. And now we're getting the thunderstorms rolling. When I last talked to you guys, this was the snapshot for roughly noon on Tuesday, which meant it would be arriving at whatever heating we would get, but some heating in the afternoon. Now that it's arriving at 2 in the morning, that's nearly a 12-hour jump it has had on this. So that is not, it's good. We don't want severe weather, but it does cut down the threat in a big way. So why would we still have the alert day out? Well, there's one main reason at the moment. And that is the idea of now the earlier timing doesn't necessarily mean that we escape impacts. We may escape the severe weather potential, but we may still have to deal with some heavy rain right when schools are rolling out Tuesday morning and rush hour begins. If the earlier timing keeps trending that way, then this is going to be a midnight Monday night into Tuesday morning issue. It won't bother anyone. If it slows down again, then we're back into severe weather talk. It's unlikely to slow down. It's more likely, if anything, it would actually get just a tad faster. But in general, this being this close to the event, I don't think there's going to be a lot of substantial change. That in itself is the main reason why we have the alert day out, is timing for the morning commute on Tuesday. What could still alter this besides timing of the front? Well, this is a very interesting setup. You got your low tracking. It's hard to tell by the way this is on the map here, but the low is tracking basically due north, straight up into areas of Minnesota. So a lot of your forcing, a lot of the dynamics to go with that are skyrocketing with it. There's also a piece that is going in a different angle to the southeast. So if I had to draw it, energy goes northeast, energy is going southeast. But what about here in the middle of the front? We see this often just because, again, of geography and how fronts are, and where Kentucky happens to be in the whole scope of things on geography is when you get that kind of a vector going north and then one southeast, you're going to break the front, if you will. You split it, and in many cases, you get a gap where there may not be any rain in that bend in between those two vectors there. If that develops, then for sure we don't need an alert day because we won't even get rain. So that is something else we're watching. Now, it's a setup that features that break often. It hasn't done it yet on the modeling, but it's a setup that features that potential. Okay, I don't want to beat this too much because I don't think this is a big ordeal, and I don't want to talk about it so much as it seems like that's the case. It's not. Just know we're watching it. Okay, that's what I meant to say. Could have done that in like 2 seconds, right? Okay, so what happens after that? Well, here's the Euro. There's the front and whatever is left of Sarah that gets absorbed into it. And then we get into what I mentioned before is a very unique setup. And that is as soon as this low pressure, because of this extreme angle of it cutting due north and the vector of it going southeast, I had a hiccup and had to get air at the same time. That was a weird combination. Okay. As the southeast vector goes and the northern piece goes at the same time, what happens is you create a vacuum of sorts in the atmosphere to where the atmosphere sees an opportunity in the Ohio Valley to quickly replace that air that is being vacated out by a strong low heading north and a cold front heading southeast. Again, I'm not trying to get overly technical, but when that type of setup happens, you can get a rapid development of what we call cyclogenesis, or a low pressure will rapidly fill that in and develop. And that's exactly what we're seeing here as a low pressure rapidly develops very close to our back door. Because again, low heads north, front heads south, right in through here is where the energy is dropping. That is going to induce a low. Normally, that wouldn't get a whole lot of attention because the low would form and just keep heading east. But remember what I've said about the Atlantic. The Atlantic is blocked, or will be blocked, and will be closed for business. So because of that, here comes this energy trying to fill in the gap over the Ohio Valley, but it has nowhere to go. So it develops rapidly and then realizes, I opened the door number 3. I should open up door number 1 to a different place. Now that it's stuck here, now it gets interesting because we are in November, low sun angle. We've got a snowpack to the northwest of us, and we've got a strong low trying to sneak in and develops right over us. It is a very interesting setup. We don't see this very often. So there's a lot of unknowns on the wintry impacts of this. If this were January, I would say, get ready. This could cause some big problems. But this is November. So this one makes it a little uncomfortable because we know dynamically what is happening here. But when it comes to the actual impact that you will see at home, that has to be considered greatly is the time of year. So that's the reason why this is not dialed in to be a bigger event as it stands now than what it looks like on paper. Here is the euro, brings the low in. Okay, the low forms. This is Wednesday night and Thursday. The low is now has developed in that little kink there, if you will. And again, it is stuck. So it just drifts to the south right over us into Thursday and even in parts of Friday. And then eventually it will find its way. Another piece quickly moves in the plains and we'll just kick it out of the way and get into the Atlantic. And then we'll see what happens down the road for next week. I'll explain more on that in just a few minutes. Here's the GFS. Here's the Tuesday front. Pretty similar on the Tuesday front. You can almost look at it and see the northern push there and the southern push, Sarah, right there. And then right there is the split that wants to happen right along our front on Tuesday. We get into Wednesday. Now, here again, the low forms rapidly right on us to fill in the vacancy and develops right into the heart of the Great Lakes. Now, there's some question of it developing like that. Is it going to develop near us? Is it going to be way more north and around Detroit? If so, yeah, it's still going to be windy and colder, but we may not get much falling from the sky because it has all the moisture trapped with it. There is a dry layer that will be on the southern edge of this. And I know you snow lovers out there love, and I mean that in a very loose sense, get very frustrated is what I meant to say, when you get a dry pocket on these circulations that work their way in. And this one is going to have a dry pocket on its southern side that will kind of curl in. Just giving you guys a caution now. That's going to happen. So where the low is important. We want it to be far enough south where you don't have to worry about that dry slot. We're in the mix. But if it's more to the north that it does the little curl up, then we may be too far south. But it's only the first one of the season, so I won't get too worked up on it. It moves on by, and then slowly but surely, we get out of the pattern. Most of them, models-wise, get us out slowly at maybe a couple degrees warming trend each day, nothing rapid at all. As far as any snow potential, you can get snow to stick in this setup. It'll be on grassy areas, rooftops, cars, the typical locations, and nighttime. It's almost like the spring snow we talk about. It's got to be a nighttime event if you really want to see anything exciting. Now, some of this is going to be changing over Wednesday night into Thursday morning, so there is a window where some of this could stick. But will we get below freezing? That is unlikely. So it may stick. You may see a coating of snow, but the roads will be just wet and fine. In fact, that is the most likely scenario just because it's been so warm as of late. We haven't been solidly below freezing with Arctic air. If we had been, that would change the whole storyline, but we haven't. So I have rarely seen it now where this scenario has caused problems. But we're just going to make sure everyone's aware of the change in weather, and that's why the alert day is out. And I really don't think the alert day is out for snow. It's for another element I'm about to show you in a second. But that's the overall storyline that we'll get out of this system. As far as Thanksgiving week, at least want to mention real quick, there is a debate. There's another system that will be coming into play here for Thanksgiving week, but there's still some debate on whether or not it's going to be another block system. There are signs of this dreaded southeast ridge that may form a system and install it to where the plains get snow, wintry weather, maybe some heavy rain, and we may just be right up against it, but likely on the warmer side. Or if there is no blocking of the southeast ridge, then the Thanksgiving system will have a little bit more of a progression to it and could very well be a rain to snow type of deal. but right now I don't have enough support to put it on the board at all. The support looked better the other day compared to today, to be honest. So give me some time to work on that. We'll see what happens in the coming days, not within the 10-day anyway. Now let me show you a closer view of Wednesday. And this is what has been added today, has been the alert date for Wednesday. And why has it been added? And this is the element that I said is the main trigger, the wind. We are going to see a lot of wind here, starting really Tuesday with the front. That's more of a warm wind, but we're going to be windy. We're going to stay windy on Wednesday and stay windy on Thursday and really into Friday as well. This could be a solid period here where we could get some wind advisories. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But it's the wind and the change in weather. It's that combination. Oh boy, that'll get you, especially the first one of the season. So here are the wind gusts in the black circles and your precipitation on radar. This is at early in the day on Wednesday. We get into Wednesday daytime. All right, rain breaks out. The wind speed 30 miles per hour. At this point in the afternoon, temperatures begin to fall. We get into Thursday night, and it's wind of 40 miles per hour along with the rain and snow combination and falling temperatures. Again, staying above freezing. And even accumulations may be tough on grassy areas because it's going to be so windy. It's going to be blowing around everywhere. But you get the idea. This is going to be just a very blustery, yucky kind of setup. Not good for travel for Wednesday night and early Thursday. So we just want to make sure that, you're aware that it's going to be nasty. So if you have any plans you're looking at for dinner or anything Wednesday night, especially Wednesday evening or even into Thursday, yeah, you may want to adjust, just considering the outlook here. Let me show it to you an hour-by-hour setup, and this is just loosely being defined here on temperature, but you get the idea. We're going to be in the 50s in the morning on Wednesday, and then we'll be on a drop that'll happen in the afternoon with wind chills into the 30s, and it tries to show us warming back up to 46. Ignore that. We will keep falling, and we'll keep going into the 30s as we head into Wednesday night. So that's why Wednesday's been added, because of the wind and the temperature fall. I think that is going to be a nasty combination that will linger into Thursday. The snow part, I don't think it's going to cause any problems, other than maybe visibility. But that's really about it. Okay, I got to get ready for the show for 8:30 here on Sunrise. So let me show you real quick the 10-day. See if I can get to any of your questions before I head on out of here. Let's see. December snow, Aaron Wolf. December still has very, very conflicting data on Aaron, but it's still showing extremes. In other words, it's not a tame-looking month on the data. It's showing some decent warm surges that are there, but also some significant cold blast. How they play out in the calendar month, that's what we're still working on. But I still think the last 10 days of the month, I still think it's the period of December to really watch. Let's see. Dale. So quit talking nonsense and tell us what's cooing. Okay. Working on it, Dale. Hang tight, Dale. Let's see. Shonda, is it the last of the tropical storms of the year? Nope. I think it's unlikely. Usually you get into tropical and then you get into these hybrid systems. We call them subtropical. That can happen sometimes all the way into January, although technically the season does end on the 30th of November. But the ocean is running quite warm, so it wouldn't surprise me that it's a later than usual season. And let's see. Hi, Margaret. How you doing? Will the cold stick around? It will ease up. It will be easing up. This is not the type of cold that is going to lock in. It is transient cold, so it's not going to cause a huge ordeal. All right, guys, and we'll leave it there for now. You can see the alert days that are out for the change in our weather for this week. And then next week, not exactly a warm weekend, but it won't be overly horrible either. I think it'll be pleasant for the weekend before Thanksgiving standards. All right, I appreciate you all as always. Have a good one, and I will see you guys coming up on the flip side.